Washington Capitals are pleased to select Alexander Ovechkin.
Puck was taken away by Gretzky. Takes the shot, scores!
Ovechkin, one-timer! Forget it!
Welcome in, everybody, to Hockey at Home, and an all-time pairing today as we have Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin joining us. And gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time. These are certainly trying times in our country, but a unique opportunity to get the two of you together. Normally that probably wouldn't happen, and certainly in the same place as well. So thank you both for joining us. And, first and foremost, I'd like to know how you guys are both doing. Wayne, I know you're in California. Can you give us an update on your family and how you guys have been so far?
Yeah, listen, first of all, thank you so much to inviting Alex and I to be on this. I have a great deal of admiration and respect for him, not only as a player, but as a person. So this is fun for me, so I'm excited about it. Secondly, yeah, we're like everyone else. It's a tough time. We've been really fortunate here. I think the governor of California has done a wonderful job at leading this state, trying to get ahead of this unfortunate situation. And all in all, I think that all my friends and family members have come to an understanding that the fastest, best way that we can prevent this is to stay indoors. And so we're all in lockdown like everyone else. We're praying for the best. These little bit of sacrifices now will pay off in the long run. And at the end of the day, we'll save more lives and get back to as much of a normal life as possible.
And Alex, you're there with your family just outside of Washington, D.C. You've got your little guy, Sergey, and a new one on the way soon as well. So how has it been for you being at home?
It's first of all, thank you for having us. It's unbelievable honor for me to talk with Wayne on the phone and be with him. And, we have a very good relationship. Like he's always supporting me. And, it's a huge honor for me. But thank you very much for asking how's my family doing. Like we're doing well. Sergey's sleeping right now, and I'm just play video games. Like my personal trainer here, and after interview we're going to do some workout outside the street and outside the house, obviously, and just hanging there. It's time for us to stay home. You just wait when everything is going to be normal and back to work. I hope it's going to be soon.
You guys have both mentioned so far in the opening comments about your relationship with one another. And I'd like you to take us back to the first time that you guys met in California just a couple years ago. Alex, why don't you start us off with how the meeting came about and what your initial thoughts were when you found out you were meeting Wayne Gretzky for the first time?
Yeah, it was crazy. It's you never dream about. Of course, you want to meet the great one and talk to him, shake his hands, and but when Sergey told me like we have opportunity to go to have a dinner with Wayne and with his family, like it was a special moment, and that's sure, yeah, for sure, like we're gonna do it, and. It was great, I asked him questions because as a kid, you always wants to dream. Always wants to know like how it was back then when he played. And, what's the difference between this hockey and hockey back then. But it's great. Me and my wife meet his family. It's and we always in shock how good they are as persons, and it's. It was a big honor for us, and how I said, when you're a little kid, you just want to shake your hands. But even right now, I'm talking with Wayne on the phone. It's it's a huge privilege.
That's nice. For me, it was pretty simple. First of all, I had the great fortune of being the coach when he scored maybe one of the greatest goals we've ever seen in hockey. I had the best seat in the house. I was behind the bench when he went through the whole team and was on his back and scored a wonderful goal. But as he said, we got an opportunity to have dinner, and we had a wonderful night. We were in Malibu, California. The Capitals were in town to play, And I will tell you this, the thing that I found so fascinating about Alex wasn't so much about individualism, scoring goals, how to become a better player. The whole night was questions about what can I do or what do I need to do as captain to help get our team over the hump? What can I do to contribute to winning the Stanley Cup for the Washington Capitals and the city of Washington? And I remember leaving there thinking, wow, this is so unique. We could have talked about anything, goals, assists, games, memories. And really, Alex, the only thing he had on his mind was, I have to bring a Stanley Cup to the city of Washington. And so for me, that was one of the great parts of the whole evening. And I knew then and there, leaving the restaurant, that one day he was going to lift the Stanley Cup.
It's just incredible the mutual admiration you guys have for one another. And Alex, I know that, you know, Wayne having won 4 Stanley Cups himself, at the time of the meeting, you hadn't won your Stanley Cup yet. What were some of the leadership qualities that you were asking Wayne about that you really wanted to know to make yourself better and to make your teammates around you better as well?
Yeah, like that question was, you know, it's because we have bad playoffs time. You know, we maybe passed the first round, but we never get through the second round. And I asked him like advice, like how I have to react. You know, what I have to tell the team. And you know, I think that advice what he gave me, it's you know, helped. Obviously, it's have to be lots of good reasons for us to win the cup. It's not only one guy can win it. It's have to be all the team. And I think the mostly guys who've been in the championship team realize that it doesn't matter what now, who scored, who's on the ice. They have to be like, everybody have to support each other. And you know, it's how I said, you know, he wants everything, and he knows how to win. And back then, you know, I win only individual awards, but I never won Stanley Cup. My dream was win Stanley Cup, and I asked him what I can do better and what I have to do better to bring Stanley Cup home.
You two are both being mentioned in the same conversation now quite frequently. Alex having just scored his 700th and now at 706 career goals, of course, chasing the great one, and that number 894. Wayne, I'm curious to get your thoughts on, you know, the conversation that is happening right now with the two of you, and of course Alex's chase for your all-time record. What is your response to all of the noise and of course the success that Alex is having on the ice in his career?
Well, first of all, I think that our game is so fortunate with guys like Alex, Sidney Crosby. Not only are they great ambassadors for their particular cities and for their organizations, but for their countries also. And as proud as Sidney is, and I am, of Canada, Alex is that proud of being from Russia. And was always the first guy to jump over the boards to participate in world championships, Olympic Games, and loves the game of hockey. And so I can't help but cheer and root for him each and every day. I watch a lot of his games. I probably watch almost every game he plays. I hope for him to score goals. I pull for him to score goals. I think it's great for the game. I think that what he's doing is tremendous. I remember when I was breaking Gordie Howe's record, my dad said to me at one point in time, your record is going to be broken one day, and I hope you have as much class and dignity as Gordie Howe has had with you breaking his record. And I hope I do. I hope that I'm the first guy to be able to shake his hand when he does break my record. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he has a great chance to do that. He plays on a good team. He plays with good players. And most importantly, Alex plays hard every single night. And to me, if you don't play hard every night, those are kind of records you can't break. And he does that. And so I think it's great for hockey. I think it's wonderful for Washington and the Capitals. I think it's outstanding for Alex and his family. And I'm rooting for him as hard as anybody. So I think it'll be a great, wonderful day for the game of hockey when he gets to the record. Now, in saying that, I hope that I get one of his sticks because I gave him one of my sticks. So maybe we can do a nice trade.
We're going to share that story in just a minute. We're going to continue this unique conversation with Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin right after this.
Ovechkin put it right on a platter for him. Kuznetsov for Ovechkin. Drive! He scores! His spectacular history-making continues. 700 red lights.
He has just joined an exclusive club, and there's all of 8, which matches his number for the Washington Capitals. His group is second to none. We may never see another 700 goal scorer. He has just done it against Mackenzie Blackwood and the New Jersey Devils.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hockey at Home as we continue the conversation with Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky. Before we went to break, Wayne referenced giving one of his sticks to Alex Ovechkin. I know it happened just this past fall, Alex, right around your birthday. You received a stick that you had been asking for some time. Can you share the story about what it was like to finally get the stick that you had been asking for?
Yeah, obviously everybody knows I'm huge stick collector and have almost 100 sticks. And after a dinner, I asked him, like, Wayne, can you give me a game-used stick? I don't know if you still have it or not. And he said, yeah, win the cup and I'll give you the stick. And we won the cup, and I tell Sergey, I need a Wayne stick because, like, he promised to me. And finally, I get the stick, and I was happy as a little kid to give have a Christmas gift. And it's in my collection, and it's when you hold this, like, I get it at MedStar Ice in our practice facility, and all the guys see that, and you realize, like, how gear is changing right now. How our sticks is lighter than Wayne sticks when he played in the 90s and 80s. It's unbelievable. And right now, if you want to try this stick, you probably, like, if I'm going to use that stick, I'm probably not going to shoot as hard as I shoot right now. but yeah, it's it's something you dream about, and it's always nice to have sticks as a best player of the game.
Well, it was cute because he asked me after dinner, we were standing in the parking lot, and he said, okay, can I get one of your game-used sticks? And I said, all right, when you win the Stanley Cup, I'll make sure I get you one. And he never bothered me one time until he won the cup. And I heard from him once a month, where's my stick? We found an old stick. Peter Miller, our trainer at the time, used to number every one of my sticks and jerseys and gloves. And I was looking for the 808 number stick, and I couldn't find it. It was in the, I think it's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I found 807. It was numbered. It was my 807th goal. And I sent it to him. And I remember thinking, wow, I don't give away these things, but I'm so happy I got to send one to him. And I was very proud of the fact that he wanted it.
Well, when you guys talk about the stick, but also the equipment, Alex, you were referencing, and the way the game has changed and evolved over the last couple decades, Wayne, how would your game fare in today's NHL? How would it be different this time?
Oh, listen, the game's completely different. The players are bigger, stronger, faster. They're such great athletes, and it's just. And, it's a positive because that means our game's getting better. 20 years from now, the players are going to be better than they are today. And that's a great thing about our sport. The only thing that I honestly really every now and then think about is if I'm watching a game, I often sit there and go, wow, this would have been a lot of fun playing 3-on-3 overtime when I played. That's the one big difference of the game that I see. But in saying that, listen, I have nothing but admiration and respect for these guys. They're just tremendous athletes. I'm very proud of the fact that I was part of the National Hockey League, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm a huge fan of the way they play today, and more importantly, how they conduct themselves. They love to play. They love to compete. It's a harder game today, but that's all a good thing. 20 years from now, it'll be harder than it is today.
Alex, do you think it would have been harder to play in Wayne's era than it is for you to play on a nightly basis now?
No.
I don't know. It's a tough question, but when I started playing hockey, it was total different. Total different hockey. You know, I started playing in Russia, and back then it was different rules, obviously. And when I came to the NHL, it was different rules. So you have to change your mind. You have to change your body to be in the same level of like, because I was how Wayne said, you know, lots of young kids come to the game, and you can catch them. Obviously, look at McDavid, look at Vrana, like, you know, all those guys like who you know, skating good, like it's impossible to catch them. So you have to get used to it, and you have to get your mind ready for that.
Alex, we were referencing the dinner and the meal that you had with Wayne and the conversations and what you wanted to learn from him. And we've really seen you evolve as a player, watching you play, and now your 15th season with the Washington Capitals, but also off the ice. You've really embraced the community a lot. You've become a more mature individual off the ice as well. At what point did you sense that evolution was happening with you?
I think the people who around me has helped me a lot. You know, it's starting with the Capitals organization. You know, Sergey. You know, like all those guys who helped me out since they came to the team, and you know, my wife helped me a lot as well. And you know, and because it's basically like on the ice you can do it by yourself, and off the ice you can do it by yourself as well. You have to have a good team around you to do that kind of stuff. And of course, you maybe do it once, but you know, when the people around you wants to give you more, it helps.
Alex, I know for there was, it seemed like, and maybe for you, but everybody was watching so intently on when you were going to score your 700th goal, and it seemed like, you know, there was a couple games there you were sitting at 699. And Wayne, I know you found a way to communicate to Alex and share some advice on what he needed to do to kind of relieve the pressure. What exactly did you want to tell Alex in order to help him achieve that 700 milestone?
Well, listen, I was lucky enough. I had the greatest role model ever in Gordie Howe. And I was just saying to Alex, I texted him and said, you know, 699, not a lot of people have been there. And I don't think people realize the microscope that you're under. I saw his coach of the Capitals in a press conference talking about how much more attention there was, how many more media people, how many more people were following the club. And I understood that. I've been there, and it's a little bit gut wrenching, and you get a little bit tight, you get a little bit nervous. And all I texted him and said was, just relax. You're going to get to 700 real quick, and before you know it, you're going to be at 800. And so basically, my advice to him was just be yourself, play the game like you always do, with a great deal of emotion and passion. Listen, he's fun to watch. He's great to watch. Uh, just I can't say enough good things about him. And what he's doing right now has just been wonderful for the game of hockey. But let me say another thing about when you asked Alex about maturing. You know, I think there's so much focus when kids come in at 19, 20, 21, 22, and they go, okay, you should win a Stanley Cup by now. It takes time. And 21 is still only 21. And we all mature at a different age. Alex came along. There was a lot of pressure on him, not only to win a Stanley Cup there, but to build hockey and build more momentum in the city of Washington and the Washington area. And it takes a little bit of time. And he had a lot of good people around him, a great organization, a great owner. And he deserves all the accolades he's getting. He's been wonderful for hockey.
Alex, what is your response to that?
You know, to hear that kind of words from the great one, it's something special. So I'm kind of shy right now.
He wasn't shy at dinner.
Well, clearly, whatever Wayne said in his message to you allowed you to reach that 700 milestone. What was that moment like for you, Alex, when you hit 700?
Yeah, obviously, you know, when you score 698, 699, you think like, okay, next game I will score, you know, and you want to do it quick as possible, you know. And even my wife tell me like, okay, we're gonna play at home, you have to score. So I'm like, I know, like, you know, every time I have a puck, like, you or a chance to score a goal, like it's just like, it's like, why didn't you put it in? Like it's looks like easy, but it's not. And I can tell you right now, like when we play the different teams, and when I get closer, the guys don't want to be on the ice to when I score the goal. And and lots of guys tell me like, "Hey, congrats with your all goals, but not tonight." I say, "Okay, we'll see." It's pressure was on, but my teammates do obviously a great job to set up me for moments, like chances, and we all knew like it's gonna happen. And when it's happening, it's kind of relief from your shoulder, and you just have a good time with your team, and especially in the family, and everybody was so happy. So it was cool.
His spectacular history-making continues. 700 red lights.
And when he gets to 890 and I'm with Janet following you around, make sure you do it quickly.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you have a good time with my wife as well. So.
Okay, all right.
We're going to continue the conversation with Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky right after this.
Here is an empty net chance for Gretzky with 5 seconds. He's moving in. Score! Isn't that what can you? They're mauling Gretzky over in the corner. The fans go wild. 50 goals in 39 games. He's got 50 goals before anybody else got 30.
Welcome back to Hockey at Home as we continue this unique opportunity to chat with two of the all-time greats, Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin, joining us from their homes as they stay safe and stay healthy as well. And they're in their homes surrounded by their families, which is wonderful. And family has been so important to both of you guys to the success of your career. Wayne, you have a packed house there in California, I know, and a growing family as well. Over the years of playing hockey, how did you see yourself grow as a father as you continue to try and achieve such great milestones in your career?
We're still growing. That never ends. And listen, I'm lucky, like Alex. I got a wonderful family. Most importantly, everyone is healthy. I have a 99-year-old, almost 99-year-old mother-in-law still alive and doing very well. And of course, my dad, who is hanging in there, and we got him quarantined. But family is everything. And I think that the greatest compliment that you can get, and Alex will find this as his kids get older, is when people come up to you and say, you know what, we met your son or we met your daughter, and they're so polite and they're so nice. And I think that we as hockey players, we're on the go and we travel, we work, we play nights. And the women, the wives, the mothers are so important, do such a wonderful job with our children. And in the hockey world, there's so many good people, and mothers are such a big part of that. And so, I'm very proud of all my kids, and we worry about them every day, especially at this time. But I'm lucky. I come from a great family, and I'm very proud of it.
Alex, your son Sergey is very young, not even 2 yet, right? And you've got another one on the way. When you look at how you're spending this quality time at home right now, what are you trying to achieve with the relationship with your son while you have this opportunity to be with him on a regular basis?
Yeah, it's obviously you want to be on the ice right now to fight for a cup, but right now we have to use it as an advantage. And I'm spending time with Sergey and my wife, to see how he's growing up right now, because it's a very interesting age for him. He's start basically understand everything, and he's try to talk, and he tried to say some words, and it's fun. And that's the most important thing. Like right now with that technology what we have, we communicate with our family back home in Russia. Like my mom and my dad stay in his country, their country house, and they didn't allow to get inside the house to no one. And it's a good thing, because they old people and they have to protect themselves over there. And same with us. We try to stick together, and we try to have best time what we can right now. And how I said, me and Nasty is happy right now to have another one. And but when you look at the Sergey, like how he's running around, with a hockey stick with the balls, and it's pretty funny.
Wayne, I'm sure you can remember those moments with your own kids as well.
Yeah, it seems like yesterday, and it goes by so fast. I can remember my kids being 3, 4, 6, taking them to the hockey rink, skating before practice, and all that goes with it. And before you know it, you become a grandfather and grandparents. But that's what life is all about. And I'm very lucky. All my kids are very healthy right now. My grandboys are doing great, and I'm very proud of all of them.
You guys have had many years on the ice and so many great moments as well. I'm curious to get your thoughts if there is a specific moment that stands out greater than all the rest. Alex, I think I probably know the answer to yours, but Wayne, is there a moment that stands out to you as the greatest in all the years that you played the game?
Well, that's pretty easy. My answer is probably the same as his. The first time you lift the Stanley Cup. We were both fortunate. We won a lot of individual awards before we got to that first championship. And that's all wonderful. And I played with a lot of great players and a lot of Hall of Famers and just great people. But the time you lift the Stanley Cup, and make no mistake about it, there's something so cool about being the captain and get to lift it first. That to me was the greatest, proudest moment as a hockey player, and something that I'll never forget. Now, in saying all that, my last game in New York in Madison Square Garden was pretty special for me, not only for myself, but for all my friends and for my family. That'll be a day that I'll never forget.
Alex, how about you?
Yeah, the lift of Stanley Cup, it's probably the best moment in my hockey career. Obviously, it was hard time for lots of my teammates who've been with me since day one, and for whole organization. Soon it's gonna be on the TV, Game 5 against Vegas. I'm gonna watch it. Be honest with you, I never watched a replay of the games, that game, so it will be interesting how I'm gonna react. Probably I'm gonna cry, I was on the ice, but. It's that moment I will never forget. To share a cup with Becky. It was a special moment. To see all my family, how happy they was. All the fans, all organization, all the players. It was the best moment.
Best moment capped with many great moments afterwards as well. Alex, your celebrations were certainly noteworthy indeed, and Wayne, yours too during your time. We're gonna take a short break, but when we come back, I want to get you two to ask each other a question. So do stay tuned as the conversation with Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin continues.
He's done it! Wayne Gretzky, the great one, has become the greatest of them all!
Welcome back, everybody, to Hockey at Home, and a unique opportunity to have a conversation with Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky. And I'm going to take a step back here because I'm curious what questions you guys have for each other. Take me back to that moment you met in California at the dinner table. And Wayne, I'm going to start with you, give you an opportunity to ask Alex something.
Yep. First of all, thank you, Kathryn. You've done a great job today. It's been a lot of fun to be here with Alex. And my question is actually pretty simple. And I can't lie, a friend asked me this question the other day, and I thought it was a wonderful question, something I've never been asked before. And so it's simple. It goes like this. Excluding myself, Alex, because you and I are friends, if you could sit in the locker room between any two players, alive, living, or past tense, which two guys would you like to sit in between in the locker room and talk hockey about?
The first guy is Sergey Fedorov,
Mm-hmm.
and probably you.
You can't use me. We sat beside each other.
Okay. I would say probably with Mario Lemieux.
Okay. Those are both great answers. And I thought it was one of the best questions. It's so simple that I've been asked for in so many years. And I was just curious because I thought maybe you might have picked a couple older guys because I was telling a story. One of the greatest players that we ever saw play was Alexander Yakushev. Mark Messier and myself idolized that guy. We thought he was the greatest player who ever lived outside of North America. So I'm glad you picked Sergey. Sergey's a wonderful guy. And of course, Mario is Mario, one of the greatest who ever lived.
So Alex, before I get to your question that you have for Wayne, are those the two players you wanted to sit beside in the locker room? What was your response to that?
Yeah, it just came to my mind, but yeah.
Yeah, no, those are good. I picked John Beliveau and Gordie Howe because I picked two older guys, two guys that I admired as a kid. Two guys who were forwards. Now, had I been a defenseman, I would have had Bobby Orr in there. But I picked those two guys because they were both forwards. And I really believe that they were sort of the foundation of the National Hockey League, guys like Gordie Howe, guys like John Beliveau. So those were my two picks.
Very cool. All right, Alex, you're up. Your question for Wayne.
It's hard. Obviously, have lots of questions, but my question is like now in this situation, what would you do if you've been in my position to do something like workouts or go outside, play with the sticks, or some advice to me? You know, it's because it's hard for me to give you a question. It's
yeah,
Kathryn, you put me in a position when I'm kind of stuck.
No, and you're right. This is a hard time. There's no real right or wrong answer, but I think for me, I always try to do the closest thing to playing hockey. So I probably would have found a pair of rollerblades or inline skates, and I would have been skating around flat property around the neighborhood as much as I can, because your hands and your shot and stick handling, that's never going to go away. But one of the things you lose quickly if you're not skating every day is that skating stride. So if I was a player of today's generation and we were locked out, I would try to find places to rollerblade as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
That's a great answer. Along those lines, Wayne, as a leader and a captain of the team, as Alex is, the example that he sets right now during these trying times is very important. What would be your message to your teammates, just in general, on how to maintain their mental and their physical well-being while we're in this state right now?
Well, first of all, as a fan, when you watch Alex play, he plays hard every night, every shift, every game. And listen, that's to me, 90% of the battle. And so it's always fun to watch him play. Now we're all individuals. Now we're not together as a group. You can't push each other in practice, in the weight room, off the ice. All that has gone by the wayside because we're in lockdown. So the only thing you can do as a player is get yourself both physically and mentally ready as well as you can, so that when we do go back, and we will go back at some point in time, that you're as ready as you can be. And you got to believe that all your teammates are doing the same thing to be ready for that day that the commissioner says and the PA say, we're going to go back and play hockey.
Awesome. We're going to continue our conversation with Wayne and Alex with our Hockey at Home right after this.
Ovechkin moving up, crisscrossing, sidestepping a hit. What a move! Ovechkin's in! His chance! What a goal! Alex Ovechkin!
Welcome back to Hockey at Home with Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky as we continue this great opportunity to chat with these two generational players and fun players to watch, but very different, you guys. Both your styles are so different in the way you played. Alex, I know you grew up watching Wayne when you were growing up as a kid in Russia and certainly admired his play. What about his play stood out to you the most?
I think his vision of the game. I think how he controlled the game. And how he get different players better around him, and that's a special talent. I think the guys who play with him is lucky because they get lots of points, lots of cups, and to be with him in one team is it's a great stories when you retire. You're gonna tell your grandkid, you know what, I play with Wayne Gretzky, and he passed me the puck, and it's tremendous. I think his style of the game, he was not that physical, but he was smart on the ice, and you can see his highlights. Every time he have a puck, it's already something that's going to happen, and it's tremendous to watch. It's fun to watch.
Wayne, you chuckled there
Well,
a little bit.
yeah, I think from my point of view, it's pretty simple. You know, I think I've talked about it before. First of all, first and foremost, is his love for the game. You can't hide that. I compare it to that of what Gordie Howe, Mark Messier, just a pure joy and love every time he gets on the ice. You can see him smiling. Secondly, it's really difficult for a winger to have an impact on an entire team and an entire league. It's a little bit tougher than being a centerman. And there's only been a few guys in hockey history, Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr, Mike Bossy. Those guys, Guy Lafleur, they changed the game. I can remember 5 years ago, people saying to me, do you think Alex Ovechkin should be 2 minutes on the power play? And I remember saying, of course he should. He should be out there the whole power play, every power play. And that's what he does. And so he generates offense and he generates plays for each and every one of his teammates. And I said this to my son the other day. I said, they know exactly where he's going to be. They know exactly what he's going to do. And he still scores 60 goals a year. That's special. And so I admire him. I love watching him play. And I think he's been a huge impact in our game to a positive.
Wayne, if you were playing today and you had Ovi on your wing, how would that have impacted your play?
Well, it wouldn't have impacted my play, but I would have had a lot more assists. When I watch games, and Brett Hull and I talk about this a lot, and you take guys like Brett Hull, Mike Bossy, Gary Curry, one of the things they did so well, they never missed the net. So many guys missed the net in today's game. And if you watch Alex, he very rarely misses the net, because if you don't hit the net, you're not scoring. So I admire the fact that every time he gets a chance, he usually hits the net. So if I played with him, I think I would have more assists. As simple as that.
Alex, hitting the milestone that you did this season and knowing the goals that you're trying to achieve, have you taken a step back and recognized the historical significance of where you're at right now, 8th all time on the goal scoring list, and where you are headed?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, right now I have lots of time to think about, and it's great. It's great for a game. It's great for me, for my teammates. It's great for Washington area, DC area, to be able to see that. And obviously, sometimes you don't. Right now, I can't even realize what I did through all my career, but because my career is not ending. But to be 8th all of time on the goals in the whole NHL, it's special.
Alex, the way you play the game and your durability is something that everyone admires so much. And the fact that you play the game so hard and it's so trained physically to be out there every single night to play that style and still put up the numbers you do. Fans want to know, and everybody would love to know how long you're going to play this great game. How much longer do you have, do you think?
Um, we'll see. I have one more year after this season, and we'll see. I'm healthy, thanks God, and I'm still love this game. As soon as I'm not gonna love this game, like I'm not gonna cheat on it, because I respect it a lot, and I don't want to put my name, on the caliber players who just play out there and take somebody's spots. I don't want to do that.
Very well said. Well, we are going to take one more short break, and we'll continue the conversation at Hockey at Home right after this.
Ovechkin rips, he scores! Number 500 for the Great Eight.
Welcome back to Hockey at Home, and we are home with Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky. We've covered so many topics, guys, but I think the one thing that fans are interested in the near future is what you guys are about to embark on, getting set to go head-to-head on NHL 20, which can be seen on the Capitals Twitch channel on April 22nd at 8 p.m. Of course, major organizations that are going to benefit from you guys playing: the Monumental Sports Entertainment Foundation and the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation in support of COVID-19 relief. So what is going to happen in this game, Wayne? I'm very curious to see your video game skills.
Yeah, trust me. As Gordie Howe once told me, just tell him you lost without your skates and your hockey stick. This is a new sort of venture for myself, and I don't know about Alex, but you know what? This will be fun. It's not anything serious. It's about trying to help people who need help right now. And the good Lord knows a lot of people need help at this point in time. So for Alex and I, this will be a fun night, an adventure. And we're really looking forward to, I know I am participating. It'll be fun. Alex,
how about for you?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Obviously, I didn't play a lot NHL. I'm kind of a different guy on the video games, but I'm going to try to do my best, to beat Wayne.
There you go.
All right, well, we're looking forward to that, you guys. Again, April 22nd on the Capitals Twitch channel at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can watch Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin go head-to-head. That should be a fun one to watch. Before we leave and before we depart this amazing conversation that fans have had a glimpse to, to see you both again and to hear from you and the memories you've had. Wayne, I'd like to start with you for your message for the fans and for everyone right now going through this tough time. What is your message to everyone?
Thank you to all the healthcare workers, the firefighters, the policemen, the doctors, the nurses, and of course, just importantly, the priests, the ministers, the rabbis, and nuns who have had to deal with so much tragedy.
Wayne, thank you for that. Alex, what is your message to the fans?
Yeah, thank you everybody to help people fight with the coronavirus. It's tough time, but we fight it together, and the most important thing is take care of yourself, take care of your family. Please stay home, wait when it's over, and we all miss each other, but it's a time. It's a time for us to think better to be safe and better to help each other out. And thank you for having me here. It's a huge pleasure for me to talk with you, with Wayne, and it's privilege, and I'm happy to be here.
Wayne said off the top of the show he believes you will break his record, and he will be there when you do. Alex, can you do it?
I'm going to try my best, but you never know.
Thank you both so much for your
words of
inspiration. And
Thank you.
it's great to see you both. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.